Go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to good evening, everybody. Welcome to a phenomenal class that the JLI put together. A topic that we always speak about, and we every Chabad rabbi always speaks about it, every speech that he says on Shabbos. He usually ends off with a speech. You hope Mashiach comes. And I'm sure you hear it over and over and over again. But throughout the years of the JLI, they never actually gave a class on this topic of Mashiach. What is Mashiach? What is the basis, and what does it mean, and how will it come, etc. They never ever gave a class, and most of us think it's like some kind of either some kind of mysterious concept. It's some kind of a hope, a wish and a hope and a desire. And, when you're in tzadis, when you have problems. So we have the crutch. We have Mashiach, who's our crutch. Mashiach's coming, and that's not true. Mashiach is one of the 13 principles of Jewish faith, and it is in many ways the focal point of what, as Jews from the beginning of time, have been journeying, even from before going out of Mitzrayim, when Moshe Rabbeinu says to God, "Shlach na biyat tishlach," send it with somebody else. And the Rashi, the Mefarshim he says, let's wait till Mashiach comes, and let's not stay in Egypt until Mashiach comes. Why would we need to go out of Egypt and go back into exile and go out of exile and go back into, and then have Mashiach? That will be the ultimate redemption. Why don't we just wait over here? So this concept of the coming of Mashiach is a concept that is part of Yiddishkeit from the beginning of time until today. So I think that this class is really an important class. And I hope that you're going to stay for the 5-week course that this is going to be. Because the way they made the class was, they made it in a puzzle that has 5 pieces to it, and to be able to fit the whole puzzle together, then you get the real picture from all its sides and all its sources to what is the meaning of this journey and what is Mashiach in a very rational understanding in the Torah of a concept of what the Mashiach means. And why do we have a desire, and why do we have a tzipiyah, a yearning for the coming of Mashiach? So I hope you stay with us for the next 5 weeks. There's no PowerPoint to this class, so it's important that you have a book. And if you don't have a book, you'll just follow with me. But if you don't have a book, you can still order for us a book. I'll get you the book. We'll get you the book. It comes in a couple of days. So you'll have it for the next class, for the second class. Because I think you need a book, and it's good to have the book anyway for the sources. So if you go back to it, you want to teach somebody else this concept, you'll be able to have the book and the sources to the book. So my friends, we're starting off in page number 2. With there we come to one of the major sources of the coming of Mashiach and the yearning for the coming of Mashiach, which is a source in Malachi. It's a statement of the prophet Malachi, who says, "Behold, I send my angel. Hine shelech malachi, I'm going to send my angel. Ufana derech lefanai, and he will clear a way before me. Upisam yavai, and suddenly God whom you seek will come to his temple. And behold, the angel of the covenant whom you desire is coming, says God your host." So all Mefarshim, all commentators on this verse in Malachi say that the prophet is prophesizing that there's going to come a sudden day, whether you're ready or not, whether you're prepared or not, you're unprepared. It's going to come a sudden day that God's going to send, so to say, an entity that is going to bring the Jews together to build the Beis Hamikdash. And this is what you have been yearning for, and this is what's going to happen. So from this verse, the Rambam, Maimonides, that wrote many books, and in this class is going to be based a lot on Maimonides, who wrote many books, and he wrote one of his books, Yad HaChazak, he wrote the laws on the entire Torah, he wrote the laws on coming of Mashiach too. But besides that, he wrote other things. He wrote the Guide to the Perplexed. And there's also another beautiful thing that he wrote, he wrote a letter to Taman, to the Jews of Taman of those times. And they were under a lot of distress from the Muslims at that time that were forcing the Jews to convert, etc. So there's a famous book, it's called the Geras HaTaman, the letter that the Rambam wrote to Taman, and here you have the second text, which the Rambam writes to them, part of the letter. He writes them as follows: the Mashiach will be unknown before his coming, but he will prove by the means of miracles and wonders that he is the true Mashiach. The mere report of his advent will strike terror in the hearts of all the kings of the earth, and their kingdom will fall, and they will be unable to make war and revolt against him. They will neither defame, deny, nor question him. For the miracles that he will perform will frighten them into complete silence. Isaiah refers to the submission of the kings to Mashiach in the verse, kings shall shut their mouths, for he will be unlike anything they ever saw or heard. He will slay whom he will, none will escape or be saved, as it's written, and he shall smite the land with the rod of his mouth. So here the Rambam Maimonides also talks about the coming of Mashiach in this letter. We're going to see other places where he talks about the coming of Mashiach, but over here he talks about it in this letter. And in this letter, he says also that Mashiach is going to come suddenly. That's it. God's going to have a miracle, and Mashiach is going to be sent down suddenly. Out of nowhere, it's going to be some miracle. This entity, Mashiach, this person is going to be revealed. That's going to change the world. So you have over here two places, and there's more, that you have this sudden miraculous situation. Sounds like something in the movies, something that's unreal, something that is phenomenal, miraculous kind of a concept. And that's one source. So whether we're ready, we're not ready, that's what's going to happen. It's important, if you have any questions, I muted everybody, but I will wait till the questions till the end. I want to present it, and then you can ask all the questions that you want. I will not run it anywhere. I'll answer all your questions. But a lot of the questions that you're going to have for the first class is going to be answered in the other classes that are going to be given. So if you can ask the questions now, but I'm telling you, a lot of your questions will be answered as we'll go ahead in this class. So that's one way of looking at it. That's one way of understanding it. Then we go to text number 3 on page number 4 in your book. The Gemara says, this is a Gemara of Jerusalem, the Gemara Talmud Yerushalmi. The Gemara says, Rab Chia bar Abba v'Rab Shimon b'Chalafta. Rab Chia bar Abba and Rab Shimon b'Chalafta were walking in the valley of Aribel. And they witnessed an event of the dawn. They suddenly saw like how beautiful they were walking in the night. And as they came to the city, they saw the Atzers, wow, the dawn and then the sunrise. And we were amazed at the beauty of the sunrise. Rabbi Chia told Rabbi Shimon, so will be the redemption of the Jewish people. At first, it will trickle. As it continues, it will gain stream and expand. As it stated, though I will sit in darkness, God is light for me. So over here, it sounds the opposite. It sounds the total opposite. That Mashiach is not an event that's going to happen in one day. It's something that is going to happen over time. Over time. It's a process. Mashiach is a process. Maybe a process of hundreds and thousands of years. It's a process. And therefore, Maimonides in text number 4 says, Maimonides was a realist. He was known as a realist. And everything by him had to make sense. And therefore, over here, Maimonides in Mishnah Torah, it's not a letter to Taman, this is Mishnah Torah, in the law of Mashiach. He says, one should not presume that Messianic king must work miracles and wonders. Don't wait for this guy who's going to come and is going to start, making these miraculous things happening all over the world. That's not going to happen. Or bring new phenomena in the world, resurrect the dead, or perform other similar deeds. If you're waiting for some miracle worker, you're waiting for the wrong thing. This is not the case, Maimonides writes. Do not presume that the Messianic age, any facet of the world's nature will change. And there'll be innovations in the work of creation. Rather, the world will continue according to its pattern. The world is not going to change. Everything is going to go in a certain direction. And this is a process. This is something that will take time. So what is the difference? How are you going to see a difference? So our sages taught, the Maimonides continues, there will be no difference between the current age and Messianic era except the emancipation from the subjugation to the Gentile kingdoms. It means that the Jewish people will be left alone. The Jewish people will not be under the thumb and the ruler domination of nations of the world. They will be left alone. They will be allowed to live their lives. The Rambam lived under he had to run for his life, in his own life. He understood what it means to live under other rulers. He ran from Spain, and he ran to Israel, then he had to run to Egypt, and he was under Egypt, under the Egyptian law. He understood the concept of Jews not having their freedom, not only not having the freedom in Israel, but not having the freedom anywhere in that time. Wherever you were in the world, then Jews didn't have freedom at all, wherever they were, even if they were in Israel, they were under the rules in the times of the Rambam, they were under Ottoman rule. So the Rambam writes, Mashiach comes, Jews will be free. They will be free to serve God in any way they want. So here we see the Rambam writes, the Rambam and the Gemara in Yerushalmi writes that Mashiach is a process. It's not miraculous things happening, no big fireworks, no big revelations. It's going to be in a process. So now we have, in essence, a contradiction. What do? Like in everything Yiddishkeit, you have a contradiction. You have two sides. One side said it's going to be great, miracles, and this guy's going to come. He's going to slay everybody. All the kings are going to fall before him. And the other one says, no, everything's going to, the Olam kiminhagi noig, as they say, the world will run in its natural form. It's not, you're not going to see great miraculous things. How do you put these two opposites together? How do you bring them together? So this is a famous question. And here is the way we bring these two concepts to an understanding, to be able to live with both of these aspects, either a miraculous, an unprepared, sudden revelation of Mashiach, or something that is a journey, something that is going to be done through a process. So here is the way we answer the question. And I'm going to deduce you to two Hebrew words. And I'm going to say it many times. We'll try to translate, but everybody should get it. Bi'itai or bi'achishena. Bi'itai means in its time. Achishena means in a faster mode. Bi'itai, in its time, or in a hastened situation. So there you have it in page 6. Amar Abba Alexander, this is a Gemara in Talmud Bavli. It's a Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin. Amar Alexander Roy. Said Rabbi Alexander Roy, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Rami, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, I have a question. Ksiv, it's written, we have two verses that are opposite. Ksiv bi'ita, that Mashiach will come in its time. Uksiv achishena, and it says you can hasten Mashiach. So how do you have two expressions in two different verses? One that says, I am God, I'll bring the Messiah in its time. And one says, I am God, I'll bring the Messiah, I'll hasten the coming of the Messiah. How do you bring these two entities to work together? So the Gemara answers, Zachui, if we merit the coming of Mashiach, is Achishena, then God will hasten its coming. Loi Zachu, if you didn't merit, Bi'ita, Mashiach will come in its time. That means that God has already planted, the Gemara in essence says, means, the Talmud says, God has already implanted in the system the date Mashiach is coming. That's the word Bi'ita, in its time. Mashiach is coming at this and this date. I don't know it. God has set in the system a date. The Zohar writes, the date, 6,000 years. That's the maximum date. 6,000 years. So we're right now holding 5,780. So we're at least 220 years till it cannot be past that date, 6,000 years. So the Eibishter, hopefully that God had a different date, but that's the maximum date, the Zohar writes. So that's the maximum date. Zohar and the Gemara also says that. Talmud says that too. So 6,000 is the maximum date. That is Bi'ita, that's the time. Achishena means that I can hasten its time. I can shorten its time. I have the capability to shorten it. So the Gemara says, what is the meaning? The Talmud says, what is the meaning of these two times? If Jews merit, they do something special, they will shorten its time. If they don't merit, the time will be the time. Whenever the time will be, that's the time. So this is an important concept, my friends. The Ita in its time or in its hastened time. Before the end, the time that God, so to say, implanted, God said, I'm giving you the capability to bring it earlier, to hasten its coming. So if we are worthy, then Mashiach come earlier. If we are unworthy, then Mashiach will come in its time. Doesn't mean Mashiach is not going to come. It will come in the time that God set in the system. That's the way the Gemara brings the two ways to look at it. So in essence, that's the difference between the Rambam and his two places. One, that it's going to be a miraculous situation, that we're gonna do something that's gonna be without our realizing it. Mashiach's gonna come because we did something, and it just brought Mashiach closer for whatever reason. We didn't realize it. Mashiach's not gonna be out the door because some Jew, like the Rambam writes, some Jew did a mitzvah in the other side of the world, brought Mashiach to the world. Maybe the Rambam writes that every Jew has to look like he's on a scale. One mitzvah can bring Mashiach to the world. So one Jew is living who knows where, did that mitzvah that we were waiting for. Bingo, suddenly Mashiach's here. We're all going to be shocked. We're all not going to know what's going to happen. Mashiach's here. Or, no. We didn't merit. Nobody did something unbelievable. And it's going to be a progressive situation. And that time will come. That time will come. Now, Rab Chaim Ibn Itar, who was a great rabbi in the 1700s, he's an Evi Chumash. He's called the Eira Chaim. Look what he writes in text number 8. If the redemption will arrive through the merit of the Jewish people, it will be wondrous. That's the beauty of Achishena. That's the beauty of the before its time. It will be wondrous. The Redeemer will appear miraculously from the heavens. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that Achishena. We're looking not for the time. We're looking for the miracle. We want to hasten its coming. We want to do a miraculous situation. By contrast, if the Jews are unworthy and the redemption comes only because of the clock ran out, it will be different regarding which the Talmud states, I am a pauper riding on a donkey. So whenever you hear the expression, when you used to hear the expression, Ani Reicha Chamer, a pauper riding on a donkey, that is the Mashiach that comes because of its time. Because he's like a pauper that's riding on a donkey. He has to come. That was the time. What is the expression of the Mashiach that will come in a miraculous way? It says he'll be riding on a cloud. Mashiach will come in a cloud. He'll come in a cloud and will take all Jews on a cloud, it says. It says he'll take Aruah Nana Shemaya. God will come, bring Mashiach on a cloud and take all the Jews on a cloud. That's a miraculous situation. That's in a way what we want to accomplish with the not in its time. The prophecy of that the redemption will be hastened will occur if the Jewish people will be worthy. Regarding the redemption in the set time, the verse states that the ruler will rise in Israel naturally, as regular rulers in the world. So that's how we worked out the differences. That are no difference. They're both talking about different situations. Maimonides in the book of law is talking about when we do not deserve the coming of Mashiach, but Mashiach is going to come because that's the time. Maimonides to Yigeras HaTeimim, when he writes this letter, is talking about if Mashiach comes miraculous, because Jews will merit to bring Mashiach earlier than its time. I don't know if you ever heard of this. This is a very important thing that Ebba would always say, these are very important entities in this concept. Itoy in its time, or something that's going to happen on a wonder in an unprepared situation. And most of us, and that's why there's another expression, that Mashiach is going to come, and most people are not going to realize it. They're going to be in shock. We're going to be in shock, right? Because we're looking at the world, and you're saying, how can Mashiach come to this world? It's a crazy world. Things are not the way they should be. How can it be that Mashiach can come in such a situation? And the answer is, as the Rambam writes, we're looking for one Jew to be Zoicha, to do his chus, and bring a miraculous situation. We're looking for a wondrous situation. And that's what it says, Mashiach's going to be, it's going to be brought, and we'll not realize. We'll be in shock. We'll be surprised that he's here. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into this aspect. Let's try to go a little bit deeper into this concept, if we can. Let's understand what would be the difference if Mashiach would come in its time, or Mashiach would come earlier. What's the difference? Mashiach's going to come. What am I worried about? Mashiach's coming. So now we all know Mashiach's going to come. It's part of Yiddishkeit. What is the concept that Mashiach's going to come in it earlier? What do I gain out of that? Why would I need to have these? Why would God put into the system these two concepts? Why would he do that for? What would be the purpose what would be the advantage of bringing Mashiach earlier? Besides, will be no more tzaddis in the world, maybe no more sickness. But if Mashiach's going to come anyway, why don't we just wait for Mashiach? Why don't we wait for the time, have patience, and the time comes, What are we going to gain? What is the gain out of bringing the Mashiach in a quicker way? And self-understood, there are many gains, but one of the basic gains of having the Mashiach come in a, so to say, miraculous way is because if you learn, we'll get to it one day, you're going to learn the laws of Mashiach. You'll see that Mashiach has to have for it to come in a natural way, be it in its time. There's a lot of things that need to be accomplished. There are a lot of things, a lot of boxes to check off. There's a lot of things that need to be done so that Mashiach will come in its time. We want to jump all those things. We want to jump it. And the way we jump it is by doing it in a miraculous way. If we can do it in a miraculous way, then we jump all the criterias that are brought down in the Rambam and other holy Svarim. We jump all that. Let's say, for example, we all know a criteria, and that is Eliyahu Navi has to come 3 days before, right? That's what we've been told, and we've seen that. Eliyahu is going to come and tell us about the coming of Mashiach 3 days before. So we got a 3-day notice. That's only in its time. That's only in its time. If Mashiach is going to come, it's going to come through a miraculous way, we're going to jump Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi will not be part of that system. Why? Because it's going to be a shock. If Eliyahu Navi is giving you a 3-day notice, it's not going to be a shock. It's going to be a shock. So therefore, it's going to jump Elijah the prophet. And therefore, in text number 7, in page 10, you have the statement of Rab Chaim Yeshua, this great rabbi who lived in Lublin and etc., wrote, when the Talmud and the Medrash speak of the many changes that will occur prior to the Mashiach arrival. So the Talmud tells us all the things that are going to have to happen in the world so that it should be ready for the coming of Mashiach. There has to be A, B, C, D, it's a whole list. There's a bucket list. It's a very long list. And we might not be at that list yet. The concept is that such an event must occur only prior to redemption, and it comes in a designated time. Therefore, thus Moses and all the subsequent stages anticipate the redemption of Achishana. Therefore, even Moshe Rabbeinu said, I don't want to go through the system. I don't want to have a system. I want to have a miraculous situation. I want Jews to do something in the world that will hasten the coming of Mashiach. Because I want to jump the system. I want to jump all the rules and regulations and the bucket list that needs to be accomplished to bring Mashiach in its natural way. So that everything can be in the best possible manner. I don't want to be able to go through all the rules and regulations. So to explain this concept, just to understand what is this bucket list in general? What is the meaning of this bucket list? I have a whole list. So if we learn Chassidus, we all know that the Arizal writes that when the Eibishter created the world, there was the first day of creation was Olam HaToyu, the world of Toyu and the world of Tikkun. And he explains that what happened in the world of Toyu, the breakage of the world, the Netzutzis, there were sparks, very holy, godly sparks that fell down to the world. And from then on, the avodah of a Jew was to find those sparks of godliness and to elevate them, to take them out of their darkness and reveal the godliness in it. So the truth is, we are, the Arizal writes, and Kabbalah explains it, the Alter Rebbe talks about it in Tanya, Sidis talks about it, what's called Avodas HaBerurim, the service of rectification. And to what are we rectifying? Which finding those sparks of godliness that are in the darkness. So the Eibush to create, that's why the first day of creation, it says it was dark, it was dark, it was light, there was darkness, there was light, meaning there was negativity and there was light, which is spirituality. And I need to be able to find the light in this darkness. So I have two ways of doing this concept. I have two ways. I can go out there and change the darkness, or I can wait till the clock runs out. That means that God, in essence, put a clock to darkness. He said at this and this time in history, darkness is coming to an end. We say that by every funeral you go to. We say that may God wipe up the tears off our eyes and eradicate death from the world. Death is a concept of darkness. So the Eibishter made a clock in the system that there'll come a day he's going to eradicate darkness. So you don't have to do Berurim, you don't have to do the rectification, because he has brought an end to darkness. So these are the two aspects. We can work on the darkness and elevate, bring out the light, or God can bring an end to darkness. Those are the two options. That's Be'itoi and that's Ba'achishena. In the time means when God says, I have done enough with darkness. Darkness is over. So therefore, when God ends darkness, light automatically will shine. And then this is Be'achishena, where I go out to the world and fight the darkness and change the darkness. I do it through my own avodah. I do it through my own service. So that's the beauty of the service of Achishena. I can wait for the time clock to run out, but that's God's job. That is, God will bring an end to darkness. And then I can do my service. I can accomplish my own work and try to bring this darkness to an end. So not only is it an aspect of a miracle, but there's actually, the Rebbe explains that there's a great positivity in this Achishena. There's a great, beautiful thing in us doing the service of Birurim, of us finding the darkness of the world and transforming it into light. I say this because this is your text number 11, a beautiful text of the Rebbe. So that's the Rebbe says. Look at the wording of the Rebbe and explain. That's explained it. There is indeed a paragraph about the verse that states God set a date to evil. Creation itself dictates that evil only has a certain time span. That's it. God made a certain time for evil. Actually, that's what it says. Vayi Erev, it was evening. Vayi Boker. Because Erev, by us, evening always goes before morning. Never the other way. It always, the evening comes to an end. The evening has an end. That's the Boker. The morning has no end. It doesn't say and there was morning and evening. It says and there was evening and then there was morning. Because the evening will always have an end. The choshech, darkness, is going to come to an end. Creation itself did say that evil only has a certain time span, after which it will expire and disappear without a trace. As the verse states, and I will remove the spirit of evil from the world. However, this paragraph is only reserved for a situation in which the Jewish people haven't managed to make such a reality happen with their own transformative work. That's the problem. The problem is that if I wait for God to take away evil, is because I couldn't take away evil. For whatever reason, I just couldn't overcome the evil. And I need to wait for God to eradicate evil. Then indeed the end of days happen on its own. So, however, if the Jews are worthy and transform the world, the redemption will arrive prior to its allotted time. For though the clock will not yet have run out of evil, the Jews will have managed to banish it with their transformation, the transformative work. This then is a true quality of Achishena over Be'ita. The Achishena, bring it closer by myself, much more important than the Be'ita in its time. It transforms even the darkest evil. And that's beauty of Achishena. That's the beauty of a Jew going out and transforming the darkness of the world. Beautiful, 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 beautiful concept that I've explained to us now. That we have Be'ita, we have Achishena, but through our avoida, through our Achishena, we go out and do more mitzvahs as much as possible to transform the darkness. We bring Mashiach closer. We transform the world. Not that God lets the clock run out of evil. We transform the world and bring light into it. But now, the Rebbe goes even more beautiful in this concept. Because the truth is that in these two paragraphs, these two ways of looking at things, whether you're going to look at it in that we want to rush Mashiach, or you want to look at it, let the time run out, let it roll. Each one has its positive. The miraculous way is unbelievable, but the miraculous way is that's why people cannot handle the miraculous way. People just, they're looking at the world, and you're telling them that we're gonna one mitzvah, you're gonna change the world, and they just cannot handle it. People cannot handle it for some reason. That there's gonna be this miraculous thing, and we're gonna change the world. I'm gonna change the world. So the Rambam said that every person at least looks like he's gonna change the world, but is that real? So it's very hard for people to eat that, to handle that. I don't know why, but why? Let's believe in miracles. But it's hard. It's hard to look out on the street, look on your news, and miracles are gonna happen. It's hard, and that's why people say, "Oh, you're just in a messianic fever. You're looking just for a way out, an easy way out," and it's gonna take time. Changing the world is gonna take time. So that's why we struggle with these two entities, these two concepts. Should it be miraculous, or should it be it's in its time, but the world changed slowly? The world will change, and we'll have the Mashiach will come in its time. Comes the Rebbe and says, "My friends, I'm not taking away either one. I think actually both work beautifully together. I think actually one helps the other. Because in today's generation, where you see that the world is changing slowly, you realize that the time is slowly coming to that situation. You look around the world and you look at Maimonides, where I just mentioned Maimonides in the beginning of this class. That's going to come a time. There won't be Shibud Malchus. There won't be domination of Jews. We're living, my friends, in that time. Jews have come back to the land of Israel. We're living in a different time. So when we are living in a time where we see actually that things are changing in the world to a messianic completion, then we can bring the Achishena, we can bring the earlier much quicker. If we were living in a time where we were still under domination, where Rambam writes to the Jews of Taman that a miracle is gonna happen, maybe they said, "Rabbi, you're having dreams. You're dreaming, and look what's happening. Look what's going on. Are you serious? We're gonna get out of this situation." Imagine 100 years ago, you told the Jews of Russia, communism is gonna fall. They would say, "You're dreaming. It's never gonna happen." But the Rebbe says, my friends, look at the time we are living in. Open your eyes. That's what the Rebbe would say. Open your eyes. Open your eyes means the Rebbe says, I'm going to ask you to think of unbelievable situations. Open your eyes. If you learn the Rambam, Maimonides, and other commentators, you'll see what the Rambam wrote under his situation, wrote about the Mashiach. We are living in his times. We're living in that kind of situation, my friends. So the truth is, the time, as you see what's happening in the world, even though there's still a lot of craziness in the world, but the aspect that since the downfall of Russia, of the communists, we have not been under the Jews around the world, are not under the thumbs of any government. We are free to live as Jews. The Rambam can only write about that as a dream. We are living that. That the world can come together. You soon see the Rebbe says, the world can come together and to make a peace in the world, that nations shouldn't go out to war with other nations. That's a messianic concept. That the Jews are going to come together, kibbutz golius, that the Jews are going to come back to Eretz Yisrael, to the land of Israel. And today there are more Jews in Israel than even in America. That's a messianic time. the time is ripe. And when the time is ripe, then the Achashena becomes more important. The Achashena, the rushing it, becomes much more easier, becomes much more important, becomes much more in our face, that we should not wait for the time which we see is coming close. Why wait? Let's rush it a little bit. Let's have the miraculous part. Not only should we have the regular natural part, let us have the miraculous. It's in our heads. If you see the naturals happening, then the miraculous should be easier. That's what the Rebbe says over here. Look in text number 9. In text number 9, so the Rebbe says these words. When we now have the answer to all the chatter about recent hype about Mashiach's imminent arrival, the Rebbe this said it's at a Farbrengen. So the Rebbe says, like, why is everybody like telling me why I'm so hype about the coming of Mashiach? After all, how will this hype be received at home? What will the Main Street think about such talk? The answer is, if the elements of redemption are completely foreign, it would indeed be a tough sell. However, because they are not foreign at all, and in fact, much of it is already underway in our very material present-day reality, and imminent redemption will be a surprise to all. So that we're still looking for the surprise. We're still looking for the surprise. but because as it says, it's going to be a surprise. But it'll be easy for us to make the surprise happen because the world is a much better place. The world is a much better place. Spiritually and physically, the world is a much better place. So when the Baal Shem Tov even said that Mashiach is going to come when the fountains of Chassidus, of Kabbalah will be spread throughout the world, that is happening already. That has happened. that the Jews are coming back together to Israel. That's a very big, powerful thing. And look what the Rebbe says in text number 10. In these times, heads of state the world over have decided to reduce their weapons capacity and invest in income, in economic, peaceful measures. This is, after all, what the prophets promised, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, dismantling weapons and fashioning them into the work, in tools to work the ground to produce bread. We have a clear sign that the signs of the ultimate redemption are beginning to blossom. Many great and mighty countries have reformed and established noble governments grounded in just and fair law. This too is a foretaste of the overall reform and peace that Mashiach will bring to the world. Another realization is the promise that the world's attitude to the Jewish people, right? The attitude is going to change, as the Rama writes, as we have been granted religious freedom. So the Rebbe says, open your eyes, my friends. Look what's happening around in the world. And realize that Be'ita, the time, is happening in front of our eyes. The Messianic time is happening in front of our eyes. The world is a better world. The world, my friend, is a better world. The world, if you go, you can Google that. But 100 years ago, there were 100 wars. Now you have very few wars in the world. There's democracy in most of the world. Sure, we have a couple of here and there, but in general, it's a democratic world. Sure, you have injustices, but it's not official injustice in the world. This world is a world that's much better in many ways, spiritually and physically. It makes the work of a Jew much easier. We have the capability to be able to accomplish this dream. That years ago, Jews were too busy under the thumb and under hardships of governments, that if you spoke to them about the Mashiach, as it says in the Torah, when Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Jews and told them they're going to be redeemed, they couldn't hear the message. They couldn't hear the message. They couldn't hear the message because they were working too hard. They were too busy in the labor of governments, under the thumb of governments. Today we're not. Today we're living what the Rambam says. We have the freedom to serve the Eibishter anywhere in the world. And now it's easy for us to make the miracle happen, because we have, in essence, both criterias happening at the same time. We have the Be'ita, it's time, the time is now, and we can do the Achishana, we can do the hastening by each and every one of us going out and doing something that is light, something that is godly, something that is positive over negative, something that is light over darkness, something that's good over evil. Because then, as the Rambam writes, that if we do that, we have the capability that one mitzvah, he didn't say 2, he didn't say 10. The Rambam writes, a Jew has to look that one mitzvah that he does can transform this whole world. That's going to bring a shock. Because even though the world is ready, but it'll still be a shock. It'll be a shock that Mashiach is here. Hine Uba. Mashiach is here, and we are ready to march out of this exile. And that brings the conclusion to the first class of this 5-week series. As I said, the next class of this series is called Goig u'Magog. This is also famous. Everybody knows this expression, Goig u'Magog, and everybody's worried about it. You're going to learn something beautiful next week. Goig u'Magog, turbulent, terrible, and terrific. What is Goig u'Magog? What is the meaning of that concept? The meaning according to the Rambam, according to the Rebbe. What does it mean to each and every one of us? I wish you a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see no questions over here. Anybody has a question, I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to stop the live stream.